Hello, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. However you're catching us, I'm going live here on Tuesday, March 16th, the day before St. Patrick's Day. We're closed this year for St. Patrick's Day. We're not open. But it was a year ago, right? A year ago. 1 year ago last night was when it, that's right. 1 year ago last night. Normal capacity, right? And then I remember places got in trouble for opening for St. Patrick's Day at full capacity, or they got in trouble for opening. Hello, everybody who's tuning in. Mark is here from Aroma Time, and Jamie's in the background.
Hello, everybody.
So Jamie's here. Hopefully, we'll get to do one of our Wine Time lives here this week. We are actually going out to dinner with friends tonight in New York City. Our first trip to New York City in over a year. A friend of mine just opened a new restaurant down there, so we're going down, meet him for dinner, him and his wife. So we're super excited about that. But it's been a full year since we've been in New York City. If you're tuning in, everybody, just drop a comment, #live or #replay on the replay. I'm going to talk about wine today. If you're a wine drinker, you're going to want to listen to this. If you know any other wine drinkers, tag them in the comments section here so they can go and see this. Super important stuff. I'm going to wine today. I'm going to read an article that I found, and I've been wanting to do this. This type of a video for a while, and especially just the other day, last week. We were out and we drank some cheap wine, some big industrial wine, and we usually don't do that. And Jamie was like, "I just don't feel good after this wine. It's a bad headache." And a lot of people say that, they get headaches from drinking wine. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this video here. Again, however you're catching it, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on Facebook Live. So if you know any wine drinkers, tag them in the comments. Super important stuff, because we really don't know, and I don't even know really what's in a lot of these wines. There's so many approved additives in the U.S., unlike Europe, which doesn't have as many approved additives. That wine is, and the same thing happens with liquor too. Everything from Grand Marnier to all this other stuff is loaded with stuff that's not on the label. When you pick up a box of food, a bag of food, chips, whatever it is, salad dressing, they have to list everything that's on there that you're consuming in there. When you pick up a bottle of wine, most of us just think, well, hey, there's grapes in here and it's fermented alcohol, or it's, brandy in here with some orange extract. And that is so far from the truth. Some of these lists of ingredients in wines and spirits would shock you, and they don't have to list it at all. I don't know what they're waiting for. I guess the lobbying power is too much in the alcohol industry for them to be true and transparent with us. And if you know anything about Jamie and I in the restaurant, we are all about supporting the small individual brands, small independent producers, which is where you'll find a lot less of those additives going in. It's a big industrial guys that try to produce the same quality, make up for poor winemaking skills, or make up for mass volume winemaking skills. You just can't produce what you can on a smaller scale. Bad harvests, things like that, are all going into using a lot of these things. So I'm just going to read this article that I found a little while ago, and it was really perfect timing. It's called A Closer Look at Wine Additives. So experts believe winemaking began in northern China around 7000 BC. Archaeologists shifting through the ruins of ancient civilizations called uncovered grape seeds and pots lined with tartaric acid, the main acid in wine grapes. Shortly after the origins of winemaking, wine additives made their way into history. In 4100 BC, Parisians started using pine resin to keep their wine from spoiling. Pine resin. The ancient Greeks mixed their wine with perfumes, herbs, brines, and even seawater in attempts to improve flavor, and the ancient Romans were the first to add sulfites to wine. So sulfites are nothing new. The idea of trying to stabilize a wine, improve the wine flavor, make it last longer is nothing new. This has been happening 4100 BC. The records go back for that. Today, wine additives are a commonplace in much of the industrial world winemaking. Additives offer winemakers unprecedented control over the nearly every aspect of the winemaking process. There are additives for color, texture, flavor, sweetness, clarity, fermentation speed, and much more. There is also an ongoing debate among winemakers. Are additives a mark of technological progress to be welcomed into winemaking, or are they shortcuts that produce inferior wine? Perhaps most importantly, are wine additives safe for us to drink? This article will take a closer look at the wine additives and what they do and how they affect both your health and the wine you drink. So winemaking additives, why winemaking additives matter. Winemaking additives do a variety of things that make wine production easier. In the U.S., there are 76 winemaking additives approved by the FDA, while the European Union only allows 59 additives included in. So there's still 59 in the European Union, 76 additives in the U.S. So what are the additives for? Fining agents that reduce wine's haziness and make it less bitter. A lot of times, some of these agents can be egg whites or bentonite clay. That's one of the things that I often ask, what are you fining it with? Wine is just known to be hazy, right? Natural wine is known to be hazy. If you were to make homemade wine, you could not get it as clear as a bottle of like Chardonnay. I have a bottle here somewhere. What did I do with that bottle of Lunar, Jamie? Lunar. Is it in the refrigerator? Can you see if it's in the refrigerator? It's that liter bottle. It would be standing straight up if it is. So there is a big movement to, or a more of a common movement now to, not the Puro. The Puro is a good one, but the Lunar from Movia. It's a liter bottle of Chardonnay that has all the sediment in it. We had a bottle of it around. So if you were to make, I don't have it on Chardonnay. If you were to make wine at home, your wine you make Chardonnay, it would be hazy. You'd need a fining agent to pull out all these microparticles that are floating around there that are creating this cloudiness and this haze. Yeast particles, things like that, are all through there. So most common is egg whites, and a lot of people don't realize that there's egg whites in their wine, but it is in there, and they take it out, but egg whites were used. Bentonite clay is also a thing. Now these are on the natural side of additives, okay? Egg whites and bentonite clay. Defoaming agents that prevent the wine from foaming, especially during fermentation. Preservatives that preserve the wine from spoiling are added. And of course, you pick up anything from dog food to crackers to marshmallows. You see all the preservatives that they put in there, and it's listed. In wine, you will not see any of those preservatives. Fermentation enhancers. This speeds up and standardizes the fermentation process so they can actually ferment quicker, so they can produce more. We just know, to change a wine's color. We don't really think of colorings going in. Certain foods have food colorings, but wine can actually have food colorings just as commonly to slightly change the color, to make it appeal different, because obviously we eat with our eyes, and we associate the color of our foods and the way things look with our eyes. So, of course, the color of wines. So to change the color. Enrichment agents that change the wine's flavor. So additives provide winemakers with a great deal of control over every step of the winemaking process. They're most popular with big industrial producers who want to make the same wine bottle after bottle, year after year. However, many smaller producers also use additives. Additives can save harvests from problems with fermentation of aging. They can also improve the profile of the wine that doesn't turn out quite how the winemaker wants it or intended for it to be. But while they deal with an undeniable benefit of the wine for winemakers when it comes to the ease of production, there are three things to consider when talking about additives. Transparency, of course, is the first, because we just have no idea what's going into our wine, into our spirits, and we have no clue. Jess is probably more transparent than the wine and the alcohol that we're putting into our body. So, I mean, they give it one of a common additive is even grape juice. They can add grape juice to the wine to sweeten it up. Sugar is a very common additive. You wouldn't realize how common sugar is. Even small producers are adding sugar into the finished product to balance out the acidity. Of course, to round out the flavor as well. So that makes a big difference. Sorry if you're commenting. I'm not on that window right now, but thanks everybody who's tuning in. Hi, Albie. Hi, Lynn. Of course, Jamie's on. So
Joel said, "What is your favorite wine?" And Jamie.
So what is our favorite wine? Wow. Facebook Live the other day, when Jamie and I got back on Friday, we were out and about. We were at a funeral. So when we got back, we had deliveries here, and we had, 15 cases of wine. And I'm looking at the wines, and every single wine that we ordered that day, and this is how it is most days, all those wines were
wineries
we've been to. Wineries we've been to in Italy, wineries we've been to in New York, wineries in Spain that we've been to, and we're like, this is really cool because we look at the wine labels and the boxes and the bottles, and it's like everything creates an emotion based upon a relationship we have with them. So Jamie and I obviously like to be connected to our food, connected to what we put in our bodies. And by knowing the vineyard owners personally, by being there personally, by visiting them visiting us here in the U.S., us meeting them in New York City and at events, we just feel that we want that connection to the wine. Even if we've drank that wine before, we'll go to a restaurant, and if there's 200 wines on the list and we recognize 2 or 3 that we've been to, we'll gravitate towards those because it's an emotional connection. It's a relationship. So we really enjoy the wines that we know the whole full circle of the wine production, that we've been there, that we know that. But that being said, we love Italian wine. Italian wine is just some of our favorite wines, and all over it. Italy makes such a vast array of the styles of wine. If you go to California, California Cabernets, popular, California Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, right? They make certain wines. They make other wines too. But in Italy, if you're in a small village in Tuscany, they're making a very certain style of wine. If you're down in Apulia and you're Botramagno, they're making Gravina. 30 miles south, and now you're in Salento, where they make Salice Salentino, where they make Primitivo or Manduria. So each part of Italy is just so unique with the sections you go to. You go to Campania, and you get the Fiano di Avellino, Terrassi. You get Aglianico from Terrassi. You get Aglianico from Volturre. So it's just so unique, every part in their own expression, and their own rules, regulations, and traditions of making wine. And they take sometimes the same grapes, but they just do it in a totally different way based upon being 25 or 50 miles apart. And it's really, really amazing. So we really like the varietal aspect. There's hundreds and hundreds of grapes that are different types of grape varietals that are vinified for wine productions. Hundreds and hundreds. There's, I don't know, a couple thousand different grapes worldwide that they use to make wine. In Italy, I think, has 300-400 that they might be using. So Val is saying, thanks for talking about the wines in the wine industry. Not a lot of people know what goes into wine. No, not a lot of people know at all what goes into wine. And it's not something you even think of asking, because I think that we just trust that, hey, we're go buying a bottle of Cabernet. Why would they be putting, besides sulfites, which we know is what's common, why would they be putting, a cancer-causing preservative in there? A lot of preservatives that are used are linked to cancer and linked to other health issues. So there's a lot of research out there on this type of stuff, and folks, this stuff goes into your dog food as well. But dog food at least has it labeled. You can see when something is loaded in dog food that it has something that's bad. So this article jumps into bad for the dog. Then we wonder why dogs. Transparency in virtually every other consumable goods industry, food, beauty, shaving cream has, you can look at a label and know exactly what you're getting, like literally like shaving cream. You can see what's in it. But because wine is taxed as alcohol, not food, the government doesn't require producers to disclose ingredients. Well, that's stupid, isn't it? Fights. And that labeling doesn't mean much because virtually every wine in the world contains some amount of sulfites. They are naturally occurring in wine, which is true. Very, very few wines are actually bottled once they're true sulfite free. There are some brands out there that do it, and of course, strawberries have sulfites. All these grapes they all have naturally occurring sulfites. But a lot of wine, organically produced wine in Europe, but the whole winemaking process. Because again, once you get into the winery, you can take organic grapes that are grown out in the field and bring them into the building, to the winery, and all of a sudden have 79 different chemicals, additives at your disposal to enhance the wine, make it last longer, things like that. Which that means organic grapes are now shifted into the building and started the fermentation process. The process is not organic anymore. So that's the difference. Is the whole wine certified organic, or is just the grapes grown and certified organic? So if you're buying wines that are certified organic that are made in the U.S., the whole winemaking process, they're not allowed to add sulfites. I'm assuming they're not allowed to add other stuff too. I'm assuming, but one may never know because sometimes we're just not informed on that. Like organic chicken. Organic chicken is still sprayed with chlorine because that's what you have to do to produce larger quantities of chicken, like Bell & Evans organic. It's sprayed down with chlorine. A lot of people think Murray's actually does electrolysis. Chicken for every chicken has chlorine, except if they do electrolysis, which is very, very rare. Water, where they used to take it to a very low pH and basically kill everything off that way, which is what vinegar does, right? You soak chicken in vinegar in the turkey or the chicken. That used to, that was essentially what they were doing, which was killing off everything, bacteria. So even organic stuff is made to bend corners because we want to be able to do it as the industry wants to be able to do it as a whole, right? If you go to the local farmers market and buy chicken from the local farmers market, chances are they're not doing it. They're not in large production. But when you're buying Bell & Evans organic, all these other organic big brands, it's all in there. It's what they have to do to produce. And it's not even on the label, right? Because wine is taxed as alcohol, the government does not require producers to disclose ingredients. Okay, I read that already. Let's see. Because winemakers don't have to disclose ingredients, you never know what's in the wine. That's an issue in certain situations. Is a common additive